Hello! This last week, I put a poll up on my Instagram and I was like, I've been future self journaling from the holistic psychologist. Do you want me to tell you about it? And everybody across the board, it was literally 99% versus 1% to do it. So here we are. I've been doing it for 9 days straight now. I have my journal here. This literally takes me 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, which is pretty dope because I need things that are very attainable and it can just be something quick. It doesn't take a lot of my time so that I can feel like even on days where I'm busy, I can still make it a priority. That's at least how this one felt. And I just feel really grateful for what has happened this last week. And I feel like the future self journaling has been a guide to really allow me to get grounded and be stable and to think about some of the most important things that I have already cultivated in my own self-care practice in this tiny little bit of like a morning routine. And so you can go and download the guide off of Dr. Nicole LaPera's website through the holistic psychologist. I believe I found it just through her Instagram, and that was it. Signed up for her email. She has a lot of great free information, so definitely get on it. But one thing that you start with is an affirmation. You have an affirmation that you carry with you for the day. And I love that. I like having a little backbone in something. It's like setting an intention for the day. That's exactly what it is, which is giving you a focus for the day, which narrows in your perception on what you're working for in your life. So there's a lot of like science and all of it that goes behind this tiny little intention setting technique, so having an affirmation for your day. And I'm all about co-creation with the universe and being conscious and present in my life. So over the last 9 days, when I look back, the number one affirmation that I had reminded myself of was that I am a conscious co-creator of my life, wanting to remember that at all times. And then it also oscillates between needing to reminding myself that I am trying my best. Remember that you are just a human being doing your best. So those are two really amazing reminders that I have needed consistently this week. And I really do feel like this structure, this journaling exercise has really allowed me to feel more uplifted and reminds me daily of what I am working towards in my life, which is the goal. That's ultimately what we need to do. We just need to like light a fire under our asses to know what we're working for. What are we doing in our lives to feel like we have purpose and belonging and connection and community and all of that. So first thing is an affirmation. And then you just say like, what are you going to shift your habit of today? Like today I will shift my habit of, and just write down whatever that is. And for me, I've been highlighting a lot of things about where I am struggling in my life. And when I think about that, it's like, how can I shift that habit? So first, what kind of habit do you want to shift away from? And for me, it's a lot of checking out and just like calling myself on that, like the ways that I check out, dissociate, and yeah. So then it goes into gratitude, which, setting an intention, brilliant, and then bringing in gratitude with it. Whew, I love gratitude, and it's kind of like the antidote to everything in life, to many, many things in life, especially as you cultivate it more as a practice so that it becomes more of a natural mechanism, defense that we lean into rather than scarcity and fear. And gratitude allows us to remember that everything is okay even when it's not. So feeling whatever you're grateful for. Some days I wrote down a couple things, but what I found that I found myself writing down pretty much every single day is how grateful I am for my life and where I've been and where I'm going. And especially this practice has really brought me back to the now, like being really grateful for where I'm at right now. Because how often do we just get caught up in our shit? Like we're always thinking of just the very quick present past, or we're thinking of the future that we have coming our way. And I personally am somebody that is always moving forward and very much like, go, 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 on to the next thing. What are we doing? What are we working towards? Like, getting excited. And I've really had to pull myself back and be like, you need to, like, be here now. Be with yourself here, because you're in like, this is what I'm telling myself, reminding myself that I am in a beautiful spot, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, I'm really holding down my shit, and I need to stop discrediting myself and allow myself to appreciate what I have right now, because I know that I will look back on this time in my life and feel like I took it for granted easily, especially if I fall into my old habits of continually trying to move forward and on to the next thing and not appreciating what I have while I have it. So that's one reason why I really love the gratitude prompt, and it can be so quick and simple, as I said. And then it asks you, like, your future self is... My future self is, and so you're thinking about, what is your future self? Like, how does that person act? What do they do? And then the person I'm becoming experiences more. And then so this is really cool, because it's like, I even think of a yoga class, and I try to do this with some of my classes sometimes. When we sit at the beginning of class and we breathe and we meditate, I say, think about who you want to be in an hour. What do you want to be experiencing when you come back to this spot and you sit here in exactly 1 hour? And it's kind of the same thing here. You know, like, who do you want to be tomorrow morning when you wake up at the exact same time and you're writing this? Like, your future self experiences more what? Or the person I'm becoming experiences more. Today I will be my future self when... And so it gives you an opportunity, like, you're dreaming about who you are becoming and who you want to be, and, you know, it's like, it can be exciting and big, but, like, how does it feel tangible? Well, what is one thing you can do today? How are you going to be that person today? And that's just a great prompt. And then when I think about who I am becoming, I feel, and that is so important, it's so important to tie it all back together to our feelings, because that's where we really start to be able to shift our biology and our physiology around to really help our mind believe that it's happening, is when we can start to actually feel into the gratitude and feel into the expansiveness of our lives. So I think that's it. Overall, I'm just blown away. It's just another little tool. I try out a lot of tools, and it's funny to see, like, what does stick and what doesn't. And when I realized that I had been doing this effortlessly for a week, I was like, oh, hell yeah. I gotta share this. And I was just stoked to see that everybody else wanted to know how it went too. And I really look forward to continuing this. It's very, very simple practice to remind ourselves, myself, what I'm working towards in my life every single day. And I want to add... I feel like this is important. I probably should have said it earlier, but I've had a really shitty week, and I'm really good at using laughter, because laughter is another antidote. It's also a coping mechanism, for sure. I recognize that, but I've also come to a place where I'm able to laugh just at, like, the universe's ridiculous trolling mechanism jokes on us. And, you know, I honestly, I got done crying this morning at my altar because I pulled some cards, and I was just, like, breathing and thinking about my life, and it brought up a lot of emotion for me, and I just sat at my altar and sobbed. And that doesn't mean it was bad, it doesn't mean it was good, it's just what happened. And I just want you to know that I can sit here and I can laugh and say I went through a lot of shit this week, but I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I want you to know that that's real. Like, this week has been really hard. I have very much wanted to completely check out, and it's been interesting to see that with wanting to check out, using this future self journaling to kind of keep myself from actually doing that, I've realized I've been able to find this middle ground from where I tend to go into opposites, like, you know, the extremes opposites, that when I'm wanting to latch into this and go all in with my checking out mechanisms, and with having this grounding of being very present, I've actually been able to meet myself at this beautiful kind of middle spot where I am checking out and I'm doing it consciously and I recognize that I'm doing it. But in that space, I'm also recognizing like, I'm also probably just doing it as much as everybody else, like, you know, as the average person in our culture, and then I can breathe and release some of these limiting beliefs and judgments that I have on myself for needing to have my shit together all the time, or like this whole new realization that I can be present and I can consciously check out and I can call on friends and I can have my support system and I can do what I need and I can feel good and I can build myself up in the midst of like breaking down. It is possible to have it all, to do it all. But you have to realize that doing it all and having it all means that there's going to be shitty days. Because that's life, and we're human, and we're designed to feel negative emotion, and this whole self-care lifestyle is all about that you don't have to get thrown off track just because you're feeling shitty. Because for me personally, I used to spiral out of control. When things didn't feel like they were going good, it was definitely my fault. I was a failure. Everything was wrong. It was like, what can I do in this moment to fix everything? And it's like, sweetheart, please just take a breath. There's nothing to fix in this moment. There's nothing to fix in this moment, and you are doing your best. So, I hope this encourages you to go check out Nicole's stuff. Download the Future Self Journaling. I know many of you have checked it out or have been trying it. I will say there's also another little piece of it where you write down, there's awareness, like an overall awareness piece that you can have for the entire month. So it's like, what is the pattern to focus on and change? Affirm it by writing down a, you know, like an affirmation statement about the habit that you want to change, and then how are you going to implement it into your life? And so that's like an overall theme. And then you go and you do the future self journaling every day. So here's something fun. I actually have not looked back at this theme since 9 days ago when I wrote it. So this is what I wrote. Getting stressed out and shutting down. That is the pattern that I wanted to focus on and fix. And that's really fascinating because I completely forgot what I wrote down. I was like, does it have anything to do with my checking out like mechanism and like not wanting to be present? Yeah, it has everything to do with that. And I think that's what's really cool about this process is that when you put your attention on something and you're like, okay, this is it. And then you work through something every single day that's reminding you of what that original thing was. It's like, 9 days later, I may have completely forgot what that original thing was, but this practice has been keeping me kind of steady and close to that cuff to remember what I'm continuing to work for. And of course, it ebbs and it flows a bit. Today, I'll share some of the patterns that I had written down. So originally, it's getting stressed out and shutting down. And then throughout the last 9 days, it's like a pattern of hiding, guilt tripping myself, just following along for others, shift my habit of smoking too much before bed, checking out, and then I had a situation here where my journals don't even ask me about it. Checking out, living in the extremes, guilt tripping myself. So see, there ends up being a common theme. And there's always so much more going on and so much more healing taking place than we have, like, any realization how big of an effect this has. And it was just really cool to see the way that I'm feeling supported in the ways that I just, like, that's the biggest epiphany for me, is to realize that you set a foundational block and a goal and you write it down. And then I've gotten away from it, haven't even looked at it for those 9 days, and I come back and it's like, oh yeah, that's been the whole theme. So I'd be curious to know if that's something that helps you. Like, do you find if you set kind of an overall theme and you do this work, does it help you to kind of oscillate or orbit around whatever that original intention was? And how cool to be able to use that monthly to see what we're working through and what the focus is. But I definitely say, let yourself just do whatever feels right. If you don't end up Like I said, I just wrote that down and I moved on. I have not been looking at the overall goal every single day. Trust yourself. It's an exercise in trusting yourself to just write the damn thing every morning. You don't have to go back and remember, what am I working towards? What am I doing? It's a habit of just checking in with yourself in the morning. Taking a breath and remembering, like, an affirmation. Okay, like, what am I doing today? Start there. Thank you for watching this. Let me know how it resonates with you. Let me know if you try this work and if it, you have a similar experience or a completely opposite experience, because we're humans and it's not going to be the same for all of us. It's not going to be the same for two of us, because every single human experience that we are all, like, individually experiencing is different. No two people see the same thing the same way. Isn't that crazy? Alright, well, I'll catch you on the flip side.